Most of Valletta shuts down on a Sunday. We just found that out the hard way. But strip away the tourist trail and something unexpected happens. The real city appears. Today, we've got one last shot at Valletta, and it turns out that was the best thing that could have happened. A quick stop at the local Starbucks Reserve to experience some unique blends, and as it turns out, what we read online was totally true. The machine weren't working, so we got just what we end up with back home. We definitely should have listened to what we read online. Having had that daunting realisation that most of the religious sites and museums were closed on a Sunday, it was time to rip up the rulebook and work out how to experience Valletta with the time we had left. As it turns out, nothing is done on a Sunday here in Valletta.
After an early morning walk, we're heading to a special cafe to get some breakfast. Stepping into Caffe Cordina feels like walking through a piece of Maltese history. This is the oldest cafe in Malta, and honestly, it lives up to the reputation. The menu is huge, with everything from classic pastries to full breakfasts. But what really shocked us was just how good the food actually was. The breakfast completely exceeded our expectations. One quick tip though, make sure to get here early. This place gets seriously busy, especially in the mornings, and for good reason. Breakfast sorted, now time to get the trip back on track.
Stepping inside the Grandmaster's palace, it doesn't take long to realise this isn't just another historic building. This was the beating heart of power in Malta for centuries. Built in the 16th century by the Knights of St. John, this palace was home to the Grandmaster, essentially the ruler of the island at the time. And these weren't just any knights, they were a military order defending Malta from some of the most powerful empires in the world. As you walk through the corridors, what's striking isn't just the scale, it's the detail. The walls are lined with massive tapestries and armour, but look closer and you'll notice something unexpected. Many of these suits weren't just ceremonial, they were actually worn in battle, some even customised to fit individual knights. One of the standout rooms is the armoury. And even if you're not into history, this is hard not to be impressed by. Rows upon rows of weapons, from swords to early firearms, all laid out almost like a museum of warfare evolution. It's the kind of place that makes you realise just how intense life here must have been.
Come and see the baby cannons.
Baby cannons?
So cute.
Amazing, isn't it? The decoration on some of the stuff.
I can see now why it costs 15 euros to get in, because it's
how intricate. Look at how intricate that is. Like the decoration is insane.
This place is huge. They've got so much stuff.
It's just crazy that they put so much time and effort into decorating the armour to know that we're going to get shot at. You baby cannons.
Can you see them on that?
I mean, it's still going to ruin your day if you get hit by one of them.
These are the mini ones. There's big ones up there.
Yeah. You seen the big one going off yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. This dude and his horse had matching armour.
Oh my god.
That's the horse's piece. This is like Louis Vuitton and armour back in the day.
Stuff goes all the way up to the ceiling.
Yeah. The whole wall is covered the whole way down and around. It was crazy how much they've got in here.
Step into the staterooms and suddenly you're surrounded by incredibly ornate ceilings and walls covered in detailed paintings that tell stories of victories, battles and power. It feels less like a fortress and more like a royal palace. And here's something you might not expect. This building is still in use today. Parts of the palace serve as the office of the President of Malta, meaning this isn't just history frozen in time, it's a place that's still shaping the country. Even if you're not usually drawn to historic sites, this is one of those places that surprises you. It's not just about dates, facts and relics, it's about stepping into a world where power, strategy and survival all played a part within these walls.
So this is a really cool little room here in the Grandmaster's palace, known as the Cabinet of Curiosities, because nothing in here seems to make any sense.
None of it's related to each other.
No, you've got amazing different stones and things like that found all over the place. Random, almost mummified crocodile, as you do. And you can be walking along, and you've got little artefacts depicting little Greek gods. And you're going along, and hold on a minute, that looks a little bit familiar. And there's that.
If we're honest, we didn't come in with huge expectations for the Grandmaster's Palace, but we couldn't have been more wrong. This place completely caught us off guard, an incredible space that tells the story of a small nation's power and resilience over centuries. The ceilings are unbelievably ornate, every detail pulling your eyes upward, while the armoury on display reflects the strength and stature of the knights who once ruled here. And then there's the sheer grandeur of it all, the kind that genuinely leaves you standing there for a moment just taking it in. What makes it even more surprising is that this isn't just history, it's still very much alive today, continuing its role as Malta's presidential palace. And a palace it is.
With there being nothing else open other than the Grandmaster's Palace and a few restaurants and cafes, we decided to jump on a ferry and head over to Sliema.
So, we now have our tickets to get over to Sliema from Valletta, although when we went to buy the tickets, we were told we couldn't have a return, we can only have a single because they may not be running the ferry later. Apparently the swell may cause some problems, so that could be interesting considering we have a flight to catch later. Yeah. We'll have to work it out, let's see what happens.
You want to go upstairs?
Yeah. Come.
This way? Or up
This way. This way.
Oh my god, it's swaying.
Do you want to sit in front?
Yeah, you sit there.
Ooh.
And I'll sit behind you. Whoa. Oh my god.
It's a bit rocky. So we are leaving Valletta, heading over to Sliema. Interesting to see what the view's like. So apparently getting the ferry over here wasn't a problem. I think getting back is going to be a bigger challenge. Thank you. Well, that was easy enough, albeit a little bit wobbly. I can see what he was saying about the swell now, but it took what, 8 minutes?
Yeah.
Albeit I think we sat on the boat for about 20 while we waited for other people. I think we read up online, didn't we? And they said unless you're getting the first one of the day, don't expect it to be on time.
It was about, what, 10 minutes late?
Well, it says on the schedule 11:15 and we left at 11:36.
Yeah.
So, not quite. So
It's only €3 each, which is good, but nobody checked our ticket, so I think we could have just got on it.
not that we're encouraging that, buy a ticket. However, now we're over here, we're starting to see the view, which, as you can probably see, albeit not just as well as we'd want yet, the view of Valletta from Sliema is looking pretty good. So, walk a little bit further, see what we can find.
Is that from the place where we went to see the cannons?
Mm-mm. No. Well,
Are we about to get bombed?
that's a little bit different. I'm not sure if that's entirely normal, but we've just got over to Sliema, hence when we're looking behind us you can see Valletta, and an air raid siren's just gone off.
And now there's 2 planes going over our heads.
And now there's a
One
lot of
and
little
then-
planes flying around. Is that normal? Feels like we're back in Egypt waiting to fly home. Again.
Well, no one seems bothered.
Nope. So we're sort of walking around Sliema. It's definitely a little bit more modern here, isn't it? There seems to be a lot more shops, a lot more just sort of generally going on, whereas obviously over in Valletta there's a lot more little side streets and it takes a little bit more finding. Whereas here you've got the promenade, you can walk along. There's a lot of people about. But I think definitely looking at the queue for the ferry just now, getting the ferry from here back over to Valletta, going to be a bit more of a challenge. There's definitely more people than like what we did, coming from Valletta over here. Right, anyway, let's have a look, see what we can find.
Wandering around Sliema without much of a plan, it quickly became obvious we'd definitely taken a few wrong turns. But as we made our way further towards the point, we knew the view would make it worthwhile, and it absolutely did. Looking back across the bay at the skyline of Valletta feels completely different from being inside the city itself. Away from the narrow streets and crowds, you get this incredible panoramic view that just makes you want to stop and take it all in. And thankfully, while we were there, we spotted the ferry still running, meaning we weren't getting stranded in Sliema after all. And to top it all off, you get those incredible views of the city as you ride across on the boat back.
If you are staying in Valletta, then it's definitely worth heading over to Sliema just for sort of an hour or two, because you get really good views of Valletta from over there. They've got good viewpoints. There's also cafes, shopping, and there's not as much to do as there is in Valletta over in Sliema, but it's still worth the little trip over there if you're here for a few days. The hotels over there are a little bit cheaper, so if you want something more budget friendly, you could quite easily stay over there and then get the ferry backwards and forwards to Valletta at €3 a go. It's definitely worth it.
After the amazing pizza that we had at Sotto Pizzeria the day before, we decided to try their sister restaurant. Zero Sai specialises in pasta, specifically their carbonara, which was absolutely amazing and just like what you get in Italy.
You gotta love stairs in Valletta. This way, I guess.
Walking along the old city walls of Valletta is easy to see why this city was once almost impossible to conquer. Built by the Knights of St John after the Great Siege of 1565, these towering fortifications were designed to intimidate, and they still do. But the real surprise is the view. From up here, you look straight out over the city towards the iconic Triton Fountain, watching the energy of Valletta unfold below. Unfortunately, like the gardens, the fountain was under construction whilst we were there.
So, as you can tell, coming to the waterfront at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, there is no one else here. Mostly because I think a lot of it's shut. Yeah, it is proper quiet this time on a Sunday. So if you plan to come here for a weekend, don't expect to do loads on Sundays. It's a lot more quiet, a lot more relaxed. Mostly because there's not really anything else open. But even at the waterfront, it's ridiculously quiet.
And that's the funny thing about Valletta, it doesn't give itself up easily, it makes you work for it. But when it does, it's one of those places that stays with you long after you've left. Truthfully, we nearly wrote it off. Wrong expectations, no planning, but the moment we let go of all of that and just walked, everything changed. And that's what travel really is. Not about ticking boxes, it's the street you stumble down by accident. The view you almost missed because you were too busy being frustrated. You don't need 2 weeks, you don't need everything to go perfectly, you just need to show up. Valletta reminded us of that.
Now it's time for our top tips for visiting Valletta. First up, as soon as you arrive, get an Uber into the city. It's quick, it's efficient, and it's super cheap. Planning is everything. If you want to do the religious sites, make sure to do those on a Saturday, as they are closed on Sundays. Don't worry if you do mess it up, you can always ferry hop like we did. If you've got a bit of extra time, make sure to check out the movie trail. There are a lot of different famous films and TV shows filmed here. Finally, if all else fails, you could just do a bit of souvenir shopping instead. If you've been following along from part 1, thank you, genuinely. Drop us a comment below and tell us your own redemption trip story. We reply to everyone. Hit subscribe so you don't miss where we're heading next. And trust us, it's a big one.